few months ago, I took what was called the Food Stamp Challenge that some local folks had asked me to try to live off on the same amount of money that people on food stamps would live on. And it ended up being about $1.10 per meal. So I thought that would be pretty easy, live on $1.10. Well, I recognized pretty quickly, outside of eating a box of Laura Lynn from Ingalls food chain, box of macaroni and cheese for 3 meals, that was about all I could afford. And everything that I looked at, I realized that none of it was healthy. So if I wanted an entire meal, if I wanted to come down to the can and carry out and buy an apple, was $1. Well, that was my entire allotment for their meal for an entire day. What is being done from the USDA when it comes to the government programs to ensure that our local growers that their fruits and vegetables that we're getting from them are actually, are going to some of the subsidies programs, the WIC, food stamps, in order for us to buy their products and not these imported products? Is there anything within the Farm Bill that really specifically looking at our farmers first, as opposed to looking at, especially in the government programs?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few thoughts. First, let me say, in the Recovery Act that you all passed and provided extra money for these tough economic times, the SNAP recipient household, a 4-person household, is getting on average $80 more a month in SNAP benefits, which is equaling about $800 million a month that's put out in the economy. And we find that for every $5 spent that provide in SNAP benefits, it's a little over $9 that goes into the local economy, and we think that's good. And but I understand it's tough to always make the proper purchases, and one of the things that we're moving forward on very aggressively is promoting farmers markets, and then farmers markets that have EBT abilities, electronic benefit transfer, and abilities to take SNAP benefits at farmers markets. That's not nationwide yet, and we're trying to ramp that up as quickly as possible so that people, particularly in food deserts, areas where you may not have a grocery store or a place where you can buy much fresh product, we need to get farmers markets into those communities, find ways to incentivize farmers to go into those communities, and make sure the electronic benefit transfer ability is there. We also need to do more, I believe, in school lunch and breakfast feeding programs. Many children, unfortunately, almost their entire nutrition comes from the school meals. That's, by the way, a problem in the summer, where only about 10% of our schools have summer feeding programs in place. But during the school year, we have a very good program. We want to do better in terms of the nutrition that we have in those programs. And farm to school is one important way, and that is something that, for example, in your district, if you had a bunch of little producers and they want to go into the school system sitting from the school, that's hard to deal with all these different vendors and a little this and a little that product. This new business industrial loan, industry loan program that the Secretary announced yesterday, you could be a person who decides your business is going to aggregate all the product from those local producers and then be the vendor to the school. And so that's an economic opportunity for entrepreneurs out there that would like to serve this public need, I believe. Finally, in our WIC program, you mentioned that we are doing more in terms of providing WIC beneficiaries with abilities to buy fruits and vegetables. That's in the early stages, and we're not exactly sure how much that's ultimately going to cost, but we think it's the right way to go.
Some of the biggest challenges to be able to implement the 2008 Farm Bill because of the new programs, and there were so many programs for the specialty crops. I mean, what were some of the biggest challenges? What are things that we can do as members of Congress to be able to help implement the program? Or, in fact, sometimes it looks very good on paper, and it looks great, but the implementation may be so difficult, or it may be the point that we as members of Congress need to help and assist with our extension offices and the Farm Bureau and other organizations to be able to get the message out and get the word out very similar to what you've given me today of how our farmers can co-op together to be able to make sure that their fruits and vegetables are going on the plates and the tables at school, as opposed to these imported products.
I would really appreciate your help in getting out the word on some of the programs that we do have at USDA that could help in this arena. I think part of the problem comes from USDA. We have these programs, and sometimes it's the same old people who apply for the money, and we get very comfortable with relationships, and this is how we conceive of the programs. And what I'm trying to do, first and foremost, is be a matchmaker, I suppose, with the programs that USDA already has at its disposal, and try to say to people who are interested in local and regional food systems, hey, do you know about these programs in our rural development mission area, and have you thought about how they might apply? So we also have, for example, a community facilities program. It's a grant program, not a loan program, where a group of producers could come together and apply for refrigeration truck money to bring their product into the inner city, where markets might exist, where they're not in such quantity out into the rural countryside where they may produce their product. Part of my job is to get those ideas into our staff in rural development, because that may not be how those programs have been utilized in the past, but certainly it's within the statutory authority of these programs that you all have given us. And then it's also about creating the demand side out there to sort of say, here are these programs, stand up and apply. So there are a number of them, and I would be very happy as I start this matchmaking process later this week, actually, to share that information with the subcommittee and for you all to use your networks and your district offices to help get that word out. I'd be very grateful for that.
Well, that would be good. I think as all the members, especially in the rural areas, that look at the small business, we're very diverse. We have urban and rural, but we want to make sure that we have an opportunity for everyone, both the inner city kids, making sure they get a healthy, well-balanced diet, but also help our growers in the rural area to ensure that their products are being sold. So that would be, I think it'd be very helpful to all of us. At this time, I'll yield to the ranking member, Mr. Lukemeyer, for his